I was in India and had done a silence retreat. I was a student at that time, and like a university student. And then somebody kept saying, "You should try a treatment. You should try a treatment," and I did, and that made me never want to go back to that. I mean, like because it was it just set something straight. Like deepest peace and an extreme relaxation. And I basically remembered feeling like a child again. You know, that feeling, we all have different versions, but mine was just like a summer evening outside with all the kids in the neighborhood and the sun was there. And that feeling of peace and harmony. And I was like, how is it possible, to have such peace and a wholesomeness after just an hour's treatment. And I had just done a silence retreat, so I was a little shocked, to be honest, in a positive way, but I was very shook. And that reminded me when I was there that I grew up with my father was a businessman, so there would be people from all over the world in my childhood home as growing up, and I was introduced to Ayurveda by one of those people coming in my home, a Mr. Shah from London, South Africa. He had met my father at some business trip, and then he came to our home, and I was maybe 13 years old and helped my mom cooking because Mr. Shah was vegetarian, and then I helped my mom cook, and this was way back in the 80s, so it wasn't really in Denmark, in Copenhagen. So anyway, I just remembered that, and then when Mr. Shah came, I just remember he didn't speak much. He just had such a aura of peace, and he just felt like such a nice person, and he enjoyed the food. And then just at the end he said, he looked up and he said, "You should look into Ayurveda." And I was just like, oh, what is this?
So that was the first experience in your home, and then after a few years you went to India. Or what was the...
Oh, you mean why I was in India? Yeah, I met Sri Ravi Shankar in Copenhagen, who is now founder and head of one of those many wonderful Vedic organizations in India who are working to preserve the lineage of the Vedas, and as part of that, yoga, Ayurveda, and traditional medicines, to keep it aligned, because it's experiencing a lot of interest, a lot of popularity in different parts of the world right now. Young people travel to India, take a yoga education, take Ayurveda education, and come back and start up little businesses around, just like I did years ago. So anyway, I think maybe what you're asking me, if I'm hearing, is that, why am I still here today? I'm 56, and what made me make a shift in my career and do Ayurveda full time?
Yeah, and when did that happen? After you first met Ayurveda, and then it took some years. So please tell.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So from being a student at university with all the, just life, look like everyone else was looking. I was looking for some place where I could recharge and just find some sort of where things would make sense. All the big questions like life and death, love, who am I? What am I going to do with my life? Yeah, that's universal. And for some reason, I kept coming back to Ayurveda, to yoga, to that space that happens where you feel so connected that everything is going to be fine. So it was a personal self-development cause, I guess, in the beginning, right? But then very, very quickly, because it was also under the umbrella of Sri Ravi Shankar, this organization where, as in all the Vedic organizations, that it's also a matter of seva, a matter of giving back, so that all the wisdom you use, your self-development, it has an implicit understanding that we share with others. Because when I'm healthy, or if you're healthy, then something starts moving, humanity starts coming up in us, and then things that we're longing for, right, can somehow blossom in your life. And I know those are big statements, but that is what I experienced. Since you asked me, I'm just being honest here in this.
Yes.
And so then I knew this is what was my dharma, what was going to happen. But I also learned that life is life, like normal everyday life, is also has a huge value, because that's where I can express my personality. And for some reason I would have, this pitta mind. We spoke a little bit about it. So that I maybe needed some challenge again, so some sort of, maturing of the mind. So I ended up doing a lot of really interesting career with jobs like in high profile environments like ministries and as international business consultant. And those jobs were not, I didn't really seek them out. It was just like doors opening and, do you want to walk in? And I would always hear myself saying, I know I'm going to be doing this, what I'm doing today at some point, but who can say no? And maybe, this is what I've always dreamed of in that part of the, normal expected from parents and society, get an education, get a job, So why say no? Just go there and be yourself. I think that was also what I also would remind myself, to just be there with all my morning yoga nose, how do you call it, like, nasya and chanting and meditating, but maybe not putting it in people's face, but just, having that as my own little lifesaver. And and then I had some amazing teachers. So in the beginning it was for my self-development, and then gradually I started sharing. And in terms of Ayurveda and sharing, I think I started in 2008, sharing treatments. Being educated with that, but then sharing. And then I worked for many years together with an organization in Denmark with a focus on rehabilitation of young people. So many of my treatments would 50-50 when I started, would actually be to younger people who had a nervous system that was traumatized, or in some ways like having had a rough life, So that's, I think, when I realized the value of Ayurveda, that it looks at us in a bigger scale than do we fit into society, and it can give peace. Again, that just 1 hour space, when we create like the Ayurvedic healing space with like body treatments, pulse reading, understanding of this whole beautiful miracle that we are, how the mind is and how the emotions are, will somehow give rise to situations in the body of comfort or discomfort. And that there is actually this protocol in clinical Ayurveda that can sort of support healing, self-healing. That if we have like an hour's treatment where we reach that point of deep inner just peace, it stays with you physically within at least 24 hours. And that can be, that moment where you realize, oh my God, I'm not crazy. Oh my God, there's hope. Oh my God, my life is not wasted because I messed up at some point. Or, you know what I'm saying? And those losses and challenges we all go through, sometimes it's just minor bumps, and sometimes the carpet is being pulled from under us. And I do know I don't want to sound religious in some way, but I'm talking on the basis of like a lifetime of keeping going to the well of Ayurveda and putting down my little bucket. And every time water comes up, or every time something comes up, and even some days flowers would be floating on top of the water. I don't, but just a metaphor. It is. So I'm speaking on my little path of really experiencing healing on myself, living Ayurvedically, Vedically, that whole wisdom field, and seeing it and sharing it. I don't know if I'm still answering your question. I'm sorry. I'm just. So to see the value of something being able to support a person who needs, whose nervous system is under a lot of pressure, to see how that can heal in such short time, to see where I am now. Some of my previous colleagues come, or people who also didn't make the shift but are working in a high performance environment, and that within 1 hour they can be transformed, and they can just be like, the light is back in their eyes, the color is back in their face, and they go, I feel myself again, you know. That is why, or that is something that I can't pass by, you know.
Exactly. And those stories you tell so lovely about the clients and how they feel and your feeling about it, do you feel that Ayurveda is recognized here in Denmark, or how do you feel that Ayurveda is recognized in Denmark?
So Ayurveda is part of like a momentum right now where, and it's probably going on around the whole world, right? Where we are starting to take more, I wouldn't say responsibility because it's not an individual project or responsibility, but we are understanding health in a new paradigm. It's like we are aware that we need to sort of make a little effort ourselves.
Yes.
Okay. It can be food, it can be working out, it can be taking walks in nature, you know. And then as always, people start looking, right? What is there? Maybe the power of Ayurveda is in terms of like any other person here in Copenhagen. Maybe they don't feel so good. Let's take a person, right? Let's call her Anne. I don't know, but let's just call her Anne. And she's succeeding in terms of education, job, friendship, family, but she also feels like something is missing out on her health. She goes to the doctor, and the doctor says, it's just a little cough, or your blood pressure is maybe to the higher side, but all the other parameters are great. You're healthy. But she doesn't feel healthy. And then she might find acupuncture, go for a massage, or she might find Ayurveda. Yeah. And then that whole thing of Ayurveda, the understanding that it matches up to the whole allopathic system, that we have these steps of actually in Ayurveda understanding before disease manifests.
Exactly.
That is mind-blowing.
Yeah, exactly. And do you feel that people are aware of what would make her choose Ayurveda? Is she aware of that it exists like a treatment or like
That's why we're here, that's why we're talking, right?
It is.
More and more, yeah. But I'm not, I don't actually know how many people, I mean, how far Ayurveda has reached. But just this month, like a month ago, I was lucky to take part in organizing the first conference on Ayurveda, on clinical Ayurveda here in Denmark.
Oh, can you tell a little bit about that? Yes,
about
please.
that.
Yeah. So who met and where did you meet and how many people?
Okay, so to answer your question, there's kind of different layers, right? So there is the layer of the yoga wave that has been coming and going. Let's just focus here on Denmark since, I guess, I don't know what, 60s, and also probably before, calling it gymnastics, I don't know, but the whole sort of health wave and at least yoga wave is strong in Denmark. So you can find a yoga studio basically everywhere in Denmark. And those people who are there, they would often then learn more, right? The ones who are regular, and then they will stumble upon Ayurveda at some point. So some of the people that find Ayurveda, they come from yoga, okay, from yoga environment. And then there's like a whole segment of people who have like diagnoses of diseases of some kind that are looking into alternative supportive methods of healing. And some of them will then maybe Google or have heard about someone they know or read about someone they know who went to India on a panchakarma. And then they start Googling, is that possible in Denmark, right? So that's like two different ways in. And then there are probably also some who, yeah, I think that's probably the main. Then there's like the whole big field of people who read magazines or you know, see articles about someone or find a hand cream or something that is smelling amazingly and makes some nice atmosphere. That, if I can use that word neutrally, the wellness segment, yeah. And I think at the moment in Denmark, the wellness segment is probably the largest. And then again, there is a big segment of people who are very interested in when they discover that Ayurveda is actually a clinical science, that there is like, it's an education at university level in India. There is like this whole lineage, it's like a tradition that's been here, God knows how long, like thousands and thousands of years, being passed on as an oral tradition. So, you know, it's a big question, because the way I experience it from my little seat of the world here is that I don't do much promotion, actually. I don't do much marketing for my little clinic here. And I don't even know why I don't, because a lot of people say people should know you're here. But I think it's also a matter of, Ayurveda is not a product. Okay. It's something that we all have inside of us. We are life. I mean, it's called the science of life, yes. Okay? So I'm not here selling a product. I'm here sharing what I have learned from amazing teachers, and also one of them is my dear Dr. Vasant Lat, and the way he approaches as a teacher to share is actually that. It's more sharing. He's never put himself like on a guru seat, but the respect around him just comes from within, because it is so authentic. And what happens, that is why somebody wants to offer respect to someone, is because just by being in their presence, by getting a treatment or getting advice, something blossoms in you and you feel, oh, what is this? It's just a person in front of me, but wow, this is so nice. And that is because, sorry, can I just say?
Yes.
It's like a mirror. So when clients come here and they sometimes are amazed and go, oh my God, are you what is it called? Clairvoyant or something? Mm-hmm. And I'm like, how can I explain to this lovely person that it is like years of understanding like all these different protocols and systems, and then just looking. And that I have been inspired to learn from, especially Dr. Lat, how I look at a person, that it has to be from the heart. Because then you're my friend, and then as a friend, I can tell you, my dear, you know, have you thought about this and that? And maybe it's something I read in the pulse, maybe it's something I see in the color of your skin, I don't know, but all those little, what do you call them, markører, you know, those little sort of signs, they come together. But then I'm saying what I honestly feel, Ayurveda is like a mirror, and it has been for me too, like some sort of a mirror. Yes, I know it's a health system, and I know you can read books, you can read articles, but you have to experience it. And then it becomes like a mirror, because then I can see, oh God, I was a little harsh there, right? Yeah, but I'm Pitta, primary dosha. And then instead of being like, oh, I shouldn't be like that, oh, I didn't mean that, and then start, you know, all these drama stories. Yes. Then I'm just like, okay, Ayurveda says, you know, you should remember to eat, you should eat cooling foods, you should take rests once in a while, you can't just, you know. And then it's like, oh, and you know, then I listen, because it's just Ayurveda as a mirror to me, with me, right? Instead of somebody going like, oh, you shouldn't. So it's just, I think that is also what we need, some space where we can grow without, like you said, the judgment, and where we can heal and feel safe